What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. And on today's show, I know you guys love when I talk about the Knicks. But guess what? I'm going to talk more about the New York Knicks on today's show. And I got a special guest, someone that I've been following on Twitter for a while, and I like his work. So I wanted to get him on the show, and I'm happy he's on the show. So I got Alex Trataros on the show. My man, what's going on?
Good, Chris. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you handling quarantine life?
Trying to work out a lot. Thankfully, my girl and I, we have a Peloton, so been riding the Peloton.
How's that?
Peloton's amazing, man.
It looks cool. It really does look cool.
It looks cool. I'm not gonna lie. So like, when I first saw the bike, I was just kind of like, It's not kind of my style. And like for her birthday, we did like a spin class too. And like after the spin class, was not prepared for it. Did not know any how to add like resistance and whatnot. My legs came out like Jello. But after doing this and like going through the tutorials, it's not like I freaking love it, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you see the commercials all the time, and you're like, man, and then you're like, whatever, it's probably just a bike. But then, I mean, hearing from you and hearing from a whole bunch of people, it's like, it actually is really good. And you could, definitely get a good workout with it. So, maybe I'll save up a few dollars. I know it's it's pricey, but, maybe I'll save up a few dollars again.
Payment plan, man. The payment plan.
Definitely got to do that payment plan for sure. But like I said, I'm happy. I'm glad for you to be on the show. I'm happy we got to do this. But so you do a few things. You write for Hoops Habbit, right?
Yep.
And for KnicksLyfe, right? That's your own blog that you run. So how did you get started with those two things?
So KnicksLyfe, I'm not as active as I probably should be, and I'm trying to figure out like how to use it. Just because to take it way back, what got me into writing, like I always loved sports, always loved commentating. I would listen to like the Ringer NBA, listen to like Woj, listen to Zach Lowe, listen to all different forms of like NBA podcasts. And like I actually had the opportunity to go to the MIT Sloan Sports Analytic Conference 2 years ago. Okay. Because my girl, she attended MIT, and so I was able to go volunteer and get to meet all these people. I got to see like Bill Simmons, Adam Silver. I got to see a lot of coaches. Got to see Sue Bird. Got to see like Jason Concepcion, all these people. And then this guy, his name's Art Rondeau. Shout out to Art Rondeau. He used to be a shooting coach, or like just not like not like shooting coach with the team, but like an outside. Like he does more of like a mental space clearing. Like if you're in a funk, you bring him in, and he gets out of the funk. Okay, and so I started talking with him, and you can actually, for anyone out there, do some Googling on who Art Rondeau is, and you'll see there's a lot of data analytics on how he helped Allen Houston get into like this crazy shooting spree during the 99 playoffs to come in at that A seed, right? And it was actually around that time that Art Rondeau was like coaching him and getting him out of this funk that Houston was just shooting the lights out.
He was tremendous in that whole playoffs. Yeah. I mean, he's a big reason why we went to the finals that year.
For sure. And then even going into the following season when Art was still there was still like this correlation of just like he was shooting. I'd have to pull up the numbers, but it was just like crazy analytics of just like how efficient he was shooting. But then as soon as Art was not with the team anymore and not being employed by Houston, then you just started to see his numbers just go back down. It was just like an interesting correlation. So I had a conversation with him, and he's a Knicks fan, and just talking to him, it inspired me to start writing and just talking about the Knicks. And from there I started my own blog, and then I wasn't really refined, and so I decided to go from there to Hoops Habbit and Empire Writes Back to like get better and have like an actual editor, people reviewing my work, and start to like hone in my craft. And so that's why I started writing for like Hoops Habbit and where KnicksLyfe, all that stuff came from.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So obviously, basketball got, obviously it got postponed because of this damn coronavirus. And
for sure,
we're a few weeks away from the season coming back. And obviously they're in the bubble in Orlando, and, there's been a lot of things, guys have gotten tested positive, guys have chosen not to play. And it's kind of been a big, a lot of things have been going on, and obviously we just heard Russell Westbrook, just yesterday, I believe, just got tested positive. So, just talk to me about how do you feel about what's your thoughts going into the resume of the NBA season, and how do you think everything's going to play out? Because it just seems like, for me personally, I'm not overly optimistic that we're even going to get a finish to this, because I just feel like they literally need everything to go right for this to go well. And I just don't think, with the way basketball's played and all that, I mean, we're already seeing positive tests with big time names. I mean, we already saw Kevin Durant, and we saw Nikola Jokic, and obviously Russell Westbrook now. I mean, it just, to me, I'm not super optimistic that it's going to end. So just talk that the season's going to finish. So just talk to me about what's your thoughts going into the season.
So, like, I don't know. I'm kind of like in this middle phase right now. Like, I'm optimistic that we can get through it, and I'm also just like seeing like everything going on right now. Like, who is the woman that came out? It's like someone invited me to the bubble. I forget what her name is. Like, she was like, and you had Mo Bamba like clowning that it was Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell.
You have Westbrook, as you said, like testing positive, and a few other players who tested positive, and I think they're trying. The one thing I'll say about the NBA is that they're trying to do their best, right?
Yes.
It's like I have all the leagues trying to get the season back going. They're by far.
Oh yeah. They've done it the right
leaps and bounds. Yeah, like MLB is just like a complete shit show.
Disaster.
NFL. The NFL is just like treating it like nothing's like everything's on schedule, which is just like I don't even know how.
And it's crazy to think, and not to get sidetracked, but it's crazy to think that the NFL is going about it so nonchalant, as if like they don't have the most players on teams and trainers, and like they have at least 100 people that on a game day operation at least,
for sure.
And they're just going about it like, oh, we're starting on time, training camp starting on time. We'll just cut back a couple preseason games, but like Your offensive line is literally together. Like a huddle is literally 11 guys on top of each other. The offensive linemen on defense, I don't know how they're going to, but that's for a whole nother. I don't even know how they're just like, they're so nonchalant. But
it's so comical.
It's crazy because I'm like, there's like, you're not hearing much about their plan. Their plan is to just, it's like,
it's just to go.
Well, we're not going to have a lot of fans. We'll have 20% capacity or 10% capacity, but we're going to play football. It's like, how do you just, what? This is football. Like, it was one thing for basketball. If basketball's having problems, what makes you think football's not going to have problems? That's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's wild. So with the NBA, at least, like, and get back to like what we're talking about, like, at least with the NBA, like, at least they're trying, right?
Yeah,
at least they're trying, and we have a plan. I think the thing is, like, it's hard to say cancel the season, just because like there's so much money tied up in this, and
CBAs and all that, everything, so many things, the cap,
I mean, if we're gonna start, like, we don't want, like, if we enjoy the player empowerment movement, like, we don't want no season to happen, because as you already pointed out, the CBA is on the line, the force majeure clause, owners get to tear that up. They're already splitting 50-50. What makes you think owners wouldn't go like 60-40, maybe like 70-30? Like, we have no idea.
Exactly.
We have no idea.
Labor neginegotiations can get really ugly. So, I mean, we're seeing with baseball how they're handling all their stuff. So,
absolutely. And we would even have a season like beginning on time. Like that. We may even not have like another season till like.
Yeah, I mean, this affects seasons. The next couple seasons. It's crazy.
For sure. And then, not only do you talk about the CBA, but then we talk about the financials, right? And not just like from a big like NBA organizational standpoint where like they need like viewership and everything like that. But let's get again to like the players, right? Alex Kennedy did a good piece for Hoops Hype with interviewing Ed Davis, the backup center for the Utah Jazz. I don't know if you read that, but Ed Davis put everything into perspective where it came to like, you have players, whether it's Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant or Dwight Howard, saying that, they're ready to they can throw the season away based off the money that they've already made. But someone like even Ed Davis.
I know. I know the article you're talking about now. Again. I know.
Like even Ed Davis is like, like even he's comfortable. But for like someone who's starting in the league, like let's talk like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, right? Or like we're talking like our own Iggy Bredzakis. Like if we can't just say no season for those guys. Those guys got to make some sort of money. And like if you tell them that they can't play that could ruin their career and potential careers for like other young stars like in the NBA. And
especially for those second round and undrafted guys that are not on those, even first round, guys that, those first round deals, at least it's guaranteed. Second round and undrafted, you're not on guaranteed deals. So I mean that's who it really affects if you had to do all the cancellation
for sure.
stuff.
And then on top of that, right, like these guys like who come to the NBA, like who get their way like out of like whether it's poverty or just like whatever difficult situation that life has placed them in, right? Like this is generational wealth we're talking about.
Exactly, yeah.
And so like these guys are like, it's not that they're hard pressed, but they're dependent on this, not just to take care of themselves, but their families, and their families are relying on them. So like it's more than that, And even if we go to talk to like our like the social injustice issues, right? I forget the guy's name on ESPN, Wilbarn. Is that his name?
Michael Wilbon?
Yeah, Wilbon. Yeah, like even he said like you can use this type of money to like donate to like charities, whether it's for Black Lives Matter and other social injustice organizations, and to promote like that type of like justice. So there's a lot that comes with this, and so like I think that looking at the season like itself, like it's hard for like it's easy for us to say like, oh, you shouldn't play. Right. Yeah. Because like we're not
making those.
We're not making the money. And like at the end of the day, like sports, like I see, like we've seen, like even for like this short time, like even though we're craving sports, like we can go on without sports to some extent, right? Like
yeah.
And
hell, we're still making content as content creators.
For sure.
And we haven't seen professional sports in 3-4 months.
Right. And so like for us, it's just kind of like. Sure, like it hurts us if like we can't like see a game, but for them, like there's more financials on the line, and
yeah.
I think like you had to do it if like you're the NBA. You have to like at least try to bring it back just because of all the money that's tied up, and it wouldn't just hurt like this year. It could hurt like the future of like players, organizations, like how everything is just structured, right? And what we see the NBA as now, like it's this global phenomenon, like getting close to like soccer, and like how soccer is just like a world sport, and without just trying to continue it, I could see it just like taking 10 steps back if you didn't bring back a season. So
yeah, I mean, sports is just, I think sports really brings everyone together too. And I think, obviously with so much division going on in the world, and obviously, we see it in social media and in the news and all, it's just so much division in the world, and sports can bring it back. It can help that healing, because this country, we're going through a lot in this country, and I feel like sports can definitely bring that back. And it would be tough for them to just cancel everything. I mean, that's why I was so upset with baseball and how they were handled, because it just seemed like they just handled everything so poorly, and then to cancel baseball would have been devastating for that sport.
Oh yeah,
and it's we need this, and there's just so many aspects of if they would have canceled basketball, I think it would have not just affect players and stuff, but I think it just goes down to trickles down to kids playing lower levels and stuff, and not seeing it could cause a lot more bad things to happen in the world, and I think you don't want that for sure. So I'm glad they're figuring out, and like you said, basketball, it seems like they're the one sport that's actually that has a legit plan. I mean hockey too has kind of figured it out too with their bubble. They have a bubble too, but baseball and football, they've kind of made this they haven't handled this pretty good at all of those sports. And Adam Silver's done, there's a reason why Adam Silver is the best commissioner in sports, because he listens to his players. You didn't hear, because I'm sure basketball, they were getting mad behind the scenes with the money and all that too, but they didn't let things slip out the way baseball did. Every day we heard something about baseball. Well, this guy, I'm not playing, because I'm not taking a pay cut. It's like, come on, Bryce Harper. I'm not taking a pay cut. And listen, I understand you don't want to take a pay cut, but it doesn't. Why are these things leaking out? Because you're not gonna get sympathy from people that are that don't have jobs, are lost good jobs and have to figure out how to feed their family and stuff. You're not gonna get sympathy. So to go out, I know Blake Snell had complained. So I like the way basketball's handled, and I just hope it'll come down to safety, and I just want them to be safe and just make sure everyone comes out of here good. Because that, to me, as like I said, we want basketball back, and there's a lot of people who just don't care about anything and they just want to see basketball. But I think you should care about the well-being, because at the end of the day, whether they're making $200 million, whatever, or they're making $500K, they're still humans, they still have families, and that's the most important thing, is that they get back to their family safe and sound. So hopefully everything gets smooth, and we'll see what happens. So who do you have? If everything goes smooth, we finish season, who do you think's the favorite?
The favorite? Like, who do I think the favorites? I think there's a couple favorites.
What do you think? Let's give East and West. Who's the matchup?
So East, it's going to be. I feel like it's going to be the Bucks, unless like the Raptors or the Celtics somehow have like this crazy surge, like, and get on a hot streak. They can take out the Bucks, which anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible
in this new NBA right now. Yeah.
For sure. And then in the West, it's between the Lakers and Clippers for me. It's one of those two teams. I have no idea who it's going to be, but it's between those two teams. It's tough to figure that one out. Like, and I think the biggest thing that we'll have to figure out, see, is like, as this all plays out, is like, if everything does go well, right? It's like, hopefully no one gets coronavirus, so that we can see like everyone at their full strength. Because if we start seeing guys get coronavirus during the playoffs, that's like, one, you just want those guys to be, as you already mentioned, you want these guys to be safe and healthy. You don't want to see anyone get sick, ill to any extreme level where they can't even do this anymore. But it's like, if like you're the Lakers and you lose LeBron James or Anthony Davis, like that's a hit, man. Or if you're the Bucks, if you're the Bucks and you lose Giannis, it's all over. Like, then it's just like a floodgate for anyone else.
And that's going to be the tough thing, because it could happen. It could very well happen, and that's the scary part too. Is that this virus hits anyone. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how athletic you are. It doesn't matter how tall you are, your weight. It hits anyone. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. It gets everyone and anyone. Yep. So it's a real possibility. And and it would, like, let's say LeBron gets it, and then and a couple other teammates get it, like, or and the Lakers are trying to get to a finals, and they played the Clippers, like, and then we're gonna look about the legitimacy of the championship. Let's say the Clippers beat them, and it's like, well, the Clippers beat a team without LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and half their team were sick. So that's another thing the NBA is going to have to deal with too, that aspect too, because that's a real possibility that can happen. I hope it not, but it can happen.
I think the thing with that asterisk though, and I forget who was speaking about it, and like the counterpoint to saying like, oh, so if you lose someone to coronavirus, right, and they have to sit out, it's like, well, that happens during any game. Like we saw it last year, right, when the Raptors beat the Warriors, like they lost Kevin Durant to an Achilles injury. So it's like, when we start talking about asterisks, it's just kind of like, is it really an asterisk? Because like, yes, it's a virus that's like you're not planning for. Like, this is totally new. Like, it's not something that's ever. I don't know if it's ever happened like an NBA like playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, it actually takes someone out for that reason. But injuries do happen, and like you lose certain players. So it's just kind of like, if everyone's kind of in the same, like, I guess like in the same bucket at this point, like anything can happen. It's like, is it truly like an asterisk? Like they stayed healthy? Like, I don't know. Like if LeBron's going out in like Orlando, which I'd be like, yo, have you seen Florida's numbers? Just like, chill, man. You just stay inside.
I guess it also depends on like, if we find out LeBron was going out partying, then like, all right, then you did it to yourself. But I think that's another thing too. Like, how they get it too, especially in Florida. Like we said, Florida is they don't listen. They did not listen. They did not learn from New York. They're like, it's they give them a little bit. They open up a little bit, and then it gets crazy, and then boom, look at the numbers again. They're number one now. They're number one now, and they just people don't understand, man.
It's insane. I just don't get it. I honestly don't get it.
People think that it's like a myth, that this mask thing is a myth and all that, but wear your damn mask, man. Social distance. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Just do it, and it's proven. The numbers will go down, and then guess what? We can get back to reality if everyone does it. But if no one does it, we're gonna be stuck like this for God knows how long, you know. So
Yep.
wear your mask, people, distance, and just wait. You know, let's figure this whole thing out so we can get back to some normalcy and get some sports back. But so
What about
you
you?
know,
Who do you think though? Who are you thinking for?
I'm the same way, and I think it's gonna be the Bucks coming out the East, and they have a lot of pressure on them, man. We all know Giannis is an impending free agent next season, and they're gonna have to figure out things if they don't even get to the finals. I mean, they have to make it to the finals. They have to make it to the finals to at least have some kind of comfort. Okay, maybe we could keep Giannis, even if we don't win it. That gives us an extra, a set of that comfortability that, okay, maybe he could still stay because we went to the finals and we could figure things out. But if they don't even make it, man, the pressure's on for them. But I'll go with Milwaukee to go represent and in the West, man, I'm gonna go with the Lakers over the Clippers. I picked the Clippers before the season because of their depth. Their depth is just tremendous. They had some chemistry issues in the season. Obviously, Kawhi and Paul George, they were banged up. But I just think the Lakers, it's just fate for them. Obviously with everything happened, unfortunate passing of Kobe, I just feel like, LeBron's just going to have that extra gear to take them to the finals. And then, I got them winning the whole thing. I think it's
wow,
the Lakers.
you got the Lakers winning the whole thing?
Oh,
man.
Like I said, I feel like LeBron's just he's looking like Rambo right now. He's just full force. And I think he's going to give everything he has for this season because, he wants to be, obviously he's going to do it for Kobe, but he wants to be a part of that Lakers lore. Like he wants to be with Kobe and Wilt and Kareem and Magic and Worthy and all these Shaq, all the great Lakers that have, because for the most part, a lot of the big names that go to LA, they've won championships. So for him to go to LA and not win a championship, I think that would really bother him. And just that 3-6 record doesn't look nice. I know that has to bother him. 3-6 does not look pretty. At least 4-6, it looks a little better. You get a little closer to that. Maybe winning a couple of championships in the future. But I think the Lake. I know they lost some guys. They lost Avery Bradley. Rondo broke his thumb. But I just think you have Anthony Davis and LeBron. As long as you have those two guys, you got Contavious Pope, and you got a Danny Green. You still got some some shooters there, and you got some solid bigs with JaVale and Dwight. I think they'll overcome and they'll beat the Clippers in the conference, and they'll get to the finals and beat the Bucks in 5 or 6 games, I think.
Okay, and for them, like it didn't really matter for like losing like Rondo, like that because Rondo was like. LeBron's playing point guard.
Yeah, LeBron's. That's why I don't think that's. I mean, the Bradley thing is way more.
Bradley,
but
they got JR, who in my opinion, I would take JR over Bradley, but that's just me because you get a guy who's like a good shooter, very athletic.
He's been there before too.
He's been there, and they also got Deion Waiters too, right? So
So they got some scoring.
They got some guys.
They got some guys. So I think they'll be fine. I mean, I think the Bradley helps, especially defensively. I think that hurts a little bit, but I think people are going a little crazy with the, oh, they're done. Like I've heard people say, oh, they have no chance to win. I was like, really? Avery Bradley and Rondo? Like we're not talking about Boston Celtics Rondo. We're talking about, right now Rondo. He's a solid player, but let's not get it twisted. He's LeBron's running the point anyway. It's not like so. He's averaging almost 11 assists a game.
It's not.
Yeah,
those two guys are not that they're important because they've been there for like the most of the season, but they're not so heavy relied on that. It's just kind of like, oh my god, it's not actually like losing LeBron. You know what I mean? Or it's like
exactly. If we're talking about they lost Anthony Davis, then I'm like, okay, you're in trouble. But
you know what I say? Like if they actually kind of lost if they lost Danny Green.
Danny Green would be a big loss.
They actually do need shooters to help that team.
And he can defend too, the perimeter.
Yeah, and he can defend. So it's like if you lost someone like Danny Green, I'd be like, that's tough. Yeah, because Avery Bradley, he's not known for offense. Like he was knocking down threes this year, but it's not a clip where it's just kind of like you're going to notice that miss. So
yeah. So yeah, for sure, I agree. Like it's like I said, if it was Danny Green or even Contavious Pope, that would have been because he's a kind of a 3-and-D guy too. So, but if they lost like a Danny Green or LeBron or AD, then obviously they'd be in trouble. But they didn't lose any of those guys. Still got LeBron and AD, so they'll be fine in that aspect. So let's transition to our beloved New York Knickerbockers. And oh man, obviously, this team, a lot of things happened this year. It was a tough year. Obviously, we had a tough off season. Off season didn't go the way we wanted to, so that was the start with that. And then, obviously, 4-16 start. Fizdale gets fired. So let's kind of start there and just give me your thoughts on that whole the Fizdale reign, and were you high on him coming in at first? Because I'm not gonna lie, I wanted Mark Jackson, but Fizdale was my number 2, and I was happy with that. But the plan they gave us, obviously didn't go accordingly. So just talk to me about Fizdale and then obviously everything leading to him getting fired, and what was your thought process?
So when Fizdale was hired in, when he was hired for the Knicks, was it 2018?
Yeah.
Right. When he was hired in 2018, I was on that train. I was like, oh, the Knicks are actually doing their due diligence. Cool. We're going through the whole process, looking at actual good coaches. We fell
for it again.
I was like, all right. Fizdale looked good. I've been cool with Mark Jackson at the time just because what he did with the Warriors. But now doing more of my research now, I've kind of been and hearing things about Mark Jackson. I don't know if he's the right locker room guy.
He would not fit now. Yeah,
he would not fit now. No. So but Fizdale at the time, it seemed like the right thing with Mills and Perry. You're okay, you got Perry, who's been with good organizations. He has a decent draft record. It's not crazy good, but it's decent enough with the guys that you see. Whether it's Oladipo, De'Aaron Fox, right? He's had his misses with Mario Hezonja, Alfred Payton, but it's not something so egregious where you're just oh, this is horrendous.
Yeah.
This is just terrible. But I was on that train. I was oh, we're gonna go through the whole development process. I was on that train, but when it got this offseason was the thing that was I guess that weird phase, because if we were really gonna go for I guess everything changed with KP, where we had to shift from development, because KP was part of that development plan. He was supposed to be the cornerstone, the guy everything. He was the focal point, the guy we're supposed to be building around with Knox, Frank, and if we still had him, RJ would have been around him too, helping create this nice youthful foundation to see go forward. But it's the way we handled free agency after not getting KD or Kyrie, it was, I thought it was okay. I was part of that bandwagon. I was this, we got Julius Randle. His numbers look good, Bobby Portis, guy who can stretch the floor. Alfred Payton, okay, but that's a little too many point guards because we traded for Dennis Smith Jr. But maybe he could do something. And I was seeing what he did in New Orleans. I was okay, him and Randle work together. Gets someone who's familiar with Randle. And then it was just adding a lot of guys. Just when you get Wayne Ellington and Reggie Bullock and then Marcus Morris, don't get me wrong, Mook did phenomenal in New York, but it's
Well, he did way better than I anticipated, Mook.
Absolutely.
I thought he'd be solid, but not averaging 20 points a game, I didn't see that.
And shooting lights out from three.
Clutch.
Yo.
And some clutch shooting. He hit some big shots. I mean,
he did.
Dallas game when Porzingis came back, he hit that shot to win the game pretty much, so he hit some big shots for us.
He did. I was actually at that game. Going off track, I was actually at that game since I lived in Boston. I went to the TD. I was at the TD Garden, and I saw him hit that shot. Yeah. And I was it was probably one of the greatest moments, just because all the Celtics fans just went quiet, and then you got to see every Knicks fan that was there just stand up. It was great. And then unfortunately Tatum hit that shot, and it was just
yeah.
But that Mook was shooting very well. But getting back to what we were saying is I guess it's just watching it all play out from the beginning to end. It was we went back to the same thing with Fizdale, where there was no plan, there was no set rotations. He was just too much experimentation, and it was just throwing guys out there, and it didn't seem like there was any rhyme or reason to who he was pairing and why they were pairing.
It was so odd.
It was just when you have Bobby Portis, Marcus Morris, and Julius Randle all on the court together with RJ, and so we have
no spacing. There was no spacing for anyone to move,
and no speed. There was just no speed.
Slow. They're all slow guys. I mean,
what do you expect? I don't even know what to expect out of that one. You had Frank running the point because Alfred was hurt in the beginning, but it was like Frank was playing timid with those guys, so he really couldn't have like a control of the offense. So it was just kind of like everything was just like so weird and just like there was just a lot of dysfunction and it was hard. But it was like you just saw like there's no like we kept seeing like the same loop around at the top of the key, swinging the ball east to west. No one was really pushing into the lane and trying to do anything. You tried to experiment with Point Randall, which was like the most abysmal
God, bro. Point Randall is literally the most frustrating thing in the universe to watch. It's just and he does the same thing. You know he's going to go left and he's going to do a spin move. And they know the defense knows it. And guess what? They swipe it every.
You know what's crazy is that if you just do like a GIF search in Twitter for Julius Randle, you'll see that same move, that same patented move when he was at Kentucky. It's still there. He's been doing it for a very long time.
It's crazy with Julius Randle because he's a good player, and I just feel like he's not a number one. He's just not a number one. If he's your third best player, we're talking like you're cool with that. But unfortunately, he comes to the Knicks and he's paid a lot of money and he's the number one guy. So he's trying to be the number one guy, and he just seemed like he forced. And he obviously he played. He had some great games, obviously, and he's still a great. He's a very good player, but when you're on that stage and you're the number one guy in New York, and in New York, Melo went through it. We've seen guys go through it. Porzingis went through it. You go through those struggles, and the media would just get on you. And we see it through Twitter. We see on social media, and he could have games where he's 30 and 15, and people are going to still get at him because he's just his style and the forcing, trying to just do too much can just get in the way of him, and I think that would really hurt them this year.
And that's the thing. It's like Fizdale, like under Fizdale, like he gave I think some of these guys a little too much leniency and like how to experiment. Yeah. And like he gave Randall way too much. Like Randall has to fit into a system, and you saw that once Miller came in, like Miller took the ball out of his hand, put it in the point guard, and it was just like you're gonna get into the block, you're gonna get into the spots that you like. Be
physical.
Like, man, be physical, do your thing.
He's huge. He's 6'9", 250.
He's just he's a bull, man. Like he can finish, and it's just like Randall is a solid player, but like as you said, he's not your one option. He's not your two option. He's a good 3, maybe even 4 option, and like that's who he is. And like when he was down in New Orleans, like you saw it when he was working with Payton, when he was coming off the bench, it was a lot of like pick and roll, a lot of give and go action, him getting on the block, and just like everyone clearing it out. And you were able to clear it out because he had shooters, and like. That was the thing. Like this team, there was 2 things that went wrong. One, we didn't construct this team with enough shooters to help open it up for him. And then at the same time, we had Fizdale, who was like just giving a lot of like room to experiment, as I already said, for like a lot of these players where like you can't do that. Like, and that's where it's like at the beginning of the season, like that's why we went like 4-18 is because there's no structure. And it's like you saw there was no structure, and it was like it was tiresome to watch because like every fan was saying it's like. Why is Julius Randle bringing up the ball? Why are all 3 of these guys on the court at the same time? Why aren't we using a point guard? Like, and you just kept going back. Like, we even started RJ at the point. It's like he's not a point.
No.
And like we just forced too many things. So
it just didn't. It did seem like with Fizz, he just didn't know what he was doing. Like it's as simple as that. Like he just tried to find whatever sticks on the wall, and he just tried. All right, let's do 3 power forwards. Let's have no point guard and all these different rotations that just. It just didn't work at all. There's a reason why we were 4-18 and just abysmal. I mean, and he just, and then we had the meeting. They had the meeting with him, and once that meeting happened, it was kind of like, oh, he's done.
Oh yeah,
he has no chance of surviving. And then that probably was another reason why he just was like, whatever at that point. And it's there. Like I said, I thought it was a good hire. At first, I was on board with it, but it clearly didn't work, and it's crazy how they just once Mike Miller took over, the team played different, and they play. It's much more synergy. He had the team had the proper rotations. Like you said, did not have Julius Randle bringing up the ball. Elfrid Payton had more reins with the offense and stuff, and it just seemed like we looked like a competent team, like. It's like,
Yep.
damn, what if we just split half those, that 4-18 start? What if we were like split those? Maybe we, I'm not saying we're a playoff team, but at least we're definitely, a more competitive team. So
then we're back on that track for like the 30 plus the 30. Like we were projected to get 26 to 30 some odd wins.
Yeah.
Like we would have been definitely on that 30 track win because there were games that we could have easily won at the beginning of the season. Like
there were so many close games. Yeah,
Spurs, the Nets, like those
Charlotte,
are games like Charlotte,
yeah.
Cleveland, like we could have beaten those teams.
Yeah.
And those are games that we could have gotten back. And if we gotten those games back, we're at 25 at this point, and it's like.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, look at the 8 seed right now. I mean, the Wizards still have a chance to get it. I mean, we could be in that. Who knows?
Man,
you just never know. So
it's the East, so anything's possible.
Exactly. I mean, you could lose 50 games and get the 7th seed in the East. So you just never know. But it was tough. This is one of the, like I said, the off season obviously. And what bothered me about the off season is that they just didn't have a plan B. It's like, okay, you struck out and you went all in to try to get the big guys. Obviously, it didn't work out. But just to have no real plan B, and you could have – listen, obviously, like I said, you didn't get the big guys, but you could have constructed this team way better and still put out a competitive basketball team for this season. And it just seemed like, all right, let's just get a bunch of guys just because we need to fill the cap, and that's it. It's like – and it just seemed like – that was just destined to just fail, and it showed, just not being competitive. 4-18. I mean, we were the laughing stock, and it's like just beating down a dead horse. It's like we're already down. We're already. You know how it is with the media with the Knicks. They just love trashing this team, and they give them reasons to. It's definitely right, but just getting pounded and we already got destroyed in free agency. We're not getting. And letting those guys go to Brooklyn.
Oh, man.
It's one thing if Kyrie and KD had gone to, let's just say, to Memphis or something. It's like, all right, whatever. They're in Memphis. We don't got to worry about them. They're in a different – but they went over the bridge, bro.
Yeah, it's our neighbors.
And that's what hurts most. So then we got killed. And then getting off to a 4-18 start, it's like, oh, my God. We've had plenty of years of being miserable as Knicks fans, but it felt like that 4-18 start was by far the most miserable I've been as a Knicks fan. It's just so much frustrating.
And compound that with not getting Zion in the draft, it's just like
and that hurts the most.
Yeah,
that hurts. If you told me, okay, you're not going to get KD and Kyrie, but you're going to get the number 1 pick and you get Zion, I would have been so happy.
Yeah.
Just think how much different our moods would be as Knicks fans, and just the thought of like, okay, we can actually be stuff. Because listen, I love RJ Barrett. Love RJ. I want him to be great. I want him to be a perennial all-star. I want us to lead us back to. But you can't tell me that having Zion would not be different. And we would feel like we have so much hope. Right now with RJ, we're like we're just forcing ourselves to believe. Okay, he's gonna be good. Because we want it to happen because we just have nothing. Like there's no hope. So we're just like, please RJ be good. But with Zion, we'd be like, we're gonna be good as long as he's healthy. Obviously, health is always big, and he's had his health issues. But everything going good. We have Zion. Whatever else happened around us, man. You can't tell me as Knicks fans we would the optimism for the future would be so much better.
It'd be totally different. Zion is like a different beast. Like we saw what he did with the Pelicans, just like the first couple of games coming back.
His first 4 3-pointers.
Yeah. Then the next one, he just goes up at the apex of the ball and just knocks it into the crowd. Like dude's like, he's a phenomenal athlete. Like. Nothing else about that. Like he looks like Bane right now. You saw that on Twitter with the mask. Dude, he's in great shape. He's like in great shape.
I mean, it's the reason why the NBA is trying to do everything possible.
Yeah.
We're gonna give him the easiest schedule. We want we love you, John Morant, but this is the guy.
That's another guy too. I would have been happy if we got John Morant because then it's like, okay, now we got the point guard.
Because then we'd be like, okay, we have our point guard of the future. And this is a point guard-driven league. How many great point guards we've seen? We haven't had a point guard in God knows how long the Knicks have had a point guard. We've run through so many point guards in the last – and we try to see, like I said, we're trying to see, is this the guy? Nope, he's not. Stephon McGuire, Francis, Duhan. We have so many guys that we think are the guys. Getting what's his face from Dallas to he bothers me so much that what's his name? We just got him from Dallas in the Porzingis trade.
Dennis Smith Jr.
You know, we thought, oh yeah, great. At least we got Dennis Smith Jr. in the trade, and he's turned out to disappear. So it's like if we had Ja, I think we also would feel, you know, very optimistic about the future.
Yeah.
And so, but obviously that was devastating, that lottery. It's devastating. But, you know, it's life as a Knicks fan, man. It's life as a Knicks fan. It's just
it is, man. It's just
misery,
like it's tough.
man.
It's tough because like it's like I'm also a Jets fan too. So it's like
that's even worse, man.
Yeah,
I know people who are Jets, Mets, Knicks fan. And that's a rough combo. It's a rough trio. I'm at least a Giants and a Yankees fan, so the Yankees kind of help me a little. Yeah. And the Giants, you know, have won some Super Bowls in the last, you know, decade or so. So it makes it, but you know,
the Yankees even out for me.
Yeah, I could, but the Jets, you know, the Jets are going through their own stuff too.
So like seeing the Knicks like miss out, like I love basketball. Like basketball is like number one sport. It's just
it's that was so depressing because it felt like once we didn't win the lottery, it was like everything's gonna go bad, isn't it? Like the dream. Yeah, I mean, it
was one after the other too.
And this is another thing. The media kind of hyped this up too. So people like to get on us Knicks fans for believing all this stuff, but we believe it because it's been told. You saw on ESPN, Fox Sports, all these big news. They're saying 95% chance KD's coming here, 95% chance Kyrie's coming here. All these things. So like, okay, if guys like Stephen A. Smith and Rick Bucher and Chris Haynes are telling us KD's coming, well, I mean, those are national beat writers. They're just national guys. These guys are on big platforms. They're not just saying this to say it. They know people. You know, Stephen A. Smith knows people. You know, Chris Haynes was big with the Warriors, and Rick Bucher's a big time NBA analyst. So it's like, okay, so this is like. You're telling us he's going to come, so okay, all right, I'm with it. So it's not like we're going off. We're like it's just make believe, and we're just listening to we just made this up. It had legs on it. At one point, KD was going to the Knicks. I don't know where it messed up, and I had Jonathan Macri on the show, and I talked to him like, "Yo, where did they mess it up?" Like, and he was like, "They just messed it up. They just got bad information." And it's like, no, I know they this was going to happen. He was coming to the Knicks. What happened? And I try not to think about it too much, but it's like at one point KD was coming. What was it? Just the losing? Was it him getting hurt?
I think if it was going to be anything, it had to be him getting hurt. I think it had to be the Achilles, just because like it's hard, like because if it's him and Kyrie, right? Like he's clearly like the Batman, and Kyrie would be the Robin in this situation, and it's like KD at full strength, like that's just unstoppable. And like you're moving, you're directing the ship at that point. It's like, look, we're gonna go to New York, we're gonna make it happen, we're gonna go to the Knicks. Like I'm good, don't worry. You tear your Achilles, and you don't know how you're gonna come back. It's like it's kind of hard to sell to your buddy, your best friend, be like, hey, let's still go to the Knicks. Like, man, we don't know how good you're gonna be like after this, and like we're like if we go to New York, we have to go to the finals. Like that is the expectation. Like you can't put Kyrie and Kevin Durant on the same team and not in the East and not expect a finals. Exactly. Like that is finals written all over it. And so sure, I think when you look at it from that point, right, and it's like you see, if you go to Brooklyn, like it's quiet. Like no one's gonna like it's Brooklyn. They didn't make it, whatever. Yeah. But they could not make the finals in Brooklyn, but then at the same time, we could just have like another like Spike Lee fiasco, and that could be going on, and we're gonna get all national attention. Exactly. And that's how it'd be. And like that's what it is. I think that's probably like a driving factor was definitely his injury. If he was actually gonna come here, but. Who knows? I mean, the sources could like be also like vague, where it's like they're going to New York, and like technically they did come to New York.
They did come to New York.
It's just not the team that I wanted.
Of course, it's not our team. But I also think the media stuff has a big thing to do because obviously those two guys there, they could be sensitive. And as we know, being in Knicks fans, we know how the media treats the Knicks and dealing with. Every little thing turns into a big thing. We saw all the Spike Lee stuff and the Charles Oakley stuff and everything Dolan does is always news. It doesn't matter if we're losing 60 games a year. We're always going to be back page no matter what. And I think a part of me feels like a big reason why they didn't come here also is not dealing with the media. And in Brooklyn, listen, yes, Brooklyn might be the cool place to be right now as far as playing, but the New York Knicks is New York basketball. When you think New York, you think of the Knicks. No matter what. Yes, we've been bad for the last 20 years for the most part. Haven't had a lot of success. One playoff series win in the last 20 years. But you think New York, it's New York basketball. And it comes with a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. And then maybe they just didn't want to deal with all that pressure, especially with KD not going to be able to play this year. Because listen, they, obviously KD didn't play this year for Brooklyn and Kyrie. And listen, there was no one really talked about Brooklyn. But if this happened to the Knicks, we all know how that flips. And then, why'd they sign guys who were hurt? This is going bad, blah, blah, blah. And then you're just going to have to deal with that. They're going to be people are always going to be in there. Why didn't you? Could you have played this year? Blah, blah, blah. Kyrie, why did, all the injuries and stuff, and dealing with that and how he handles some of his stuff. And that would have just got blown away with the Knicks. With Brooklyn, you could kind of stay in the back and not have to deal with as much. So maybe I kind of think maybe that's another reason they may have shipped to play in New York, but just go to Brooklyn instead.
Yeah, and getting back to Kyrie, right? It's like Kyrie is a very polarizing figure. We just saw how polarizing he was in Boston, how polarizing he's been in Brooklyn, and if you put that at MSG, oh man, the circus is in town. The 3 rings are up. It'd be Barnum and Bailey's all over again,
and that's
and then it's you will not hear the end of it. So part of me was if we were gonna get KD, I was actually hoping for Kemba to come. One, because I like Kemba. I think he's a really good glue guy, and you need a solid glue guy, a guy who's who knows his lane. I think Kemba knows his lane. Everyone, everything I read about Kemba, it's he's a good dude. He's not good dude, just he just so self-aware, down to earth, and you need players like that on a team. Yeah, and I'm not saying that that's not Kyrie. Right, I'm not saying that's not.
Yeah, because Kyrie is he's arguably the best point guard in the league when he's healthy. He has the best handles in the league. He's a tremendous player, but he comes with a lot of stuff.
He comes with a lot of
injuries and stuff. That's real. The injuries have been a big part of his career.
Controversial statements, and it's whether you're I know I think someone's he renounced the flat earth stuff, and that was a joke, but it's stuff that that all gets blown out of proportion. It's just
yeah.
It's stuff that you probably don't want here. Dolan enough, is enough. You just say James Dolan, and everyone in the NBA world just starts to laugh as we're doing right now.
Yeah. He's literally the most hated person in the city.
You put James Dolan and Kyrie Irving on the same platform.
It could be a disaster. It could be a disaster. And so it was like I said, it was a tough year. But who excites you on this team right now that gives you hope for the future of this team on the current roster right now, and who's on the roster right now that probably shouldn't be on the roster for the future?
Okay, so guys, I'm happy about on the roster right now is definitely RJ, Mitch. I think everyone's pretty much in them down as the 2 cornerstones.
Yeah.
I do like Frank. I see a role for Frank. I see him as a good
definitely a role for him off the bench.
Solid guard. He makes some phenomenal passes. I still can't get over that one that smooth bounce pass he had for Taj Gibson throughout the season. It was low and just no one saw it coming. And then I guess Knox is such a question mark.
He's he's the biggest question mark on this team because the talent's there and. But it just seems like there's something missing. I don't know what it is, but there was something missing this year. Big time.
I have to go with those 3 guys and just Frank, RJ, and Mitch, just because at least with those 3 guys, I know I'm going to get defense out of them, and I know I'm going to get team camaraderie, and I'm going to get effort every single night.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whether or not Mitch fouls out every single night, at least I know I'm getting 120% from Mitch every single game. I don't have to question that. If I'm going to add anyone, I like Dotson. I would like to see Dotson back. I just don't know how this team's going to treat Dotson. It's another. It's but I also like Dotson. I think he'd be a good other bench player, like with Frank coming off. Like
Off
those
the bench
two guys,
scorer, off the bench scorer.
those two guys.
When Dot gets hot, he could
It is
definitely
nuclear.
score.
Yeah. So those are like, I guess, like the guys like that I can like actually say like are tangible that I'm like happy to have on the team. Guys that I think I can move on from is like Dennis Smith Jr. Like
what happened to him, man? It just
I don't know.
It seemed like I know he went through some stuff this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously you have to put that into consideration of why, he struggled this year. But even when he was playing, it really just seemed like he just wasn't into it, and his athleticism wasn't there. Like we've seen his highlights. I mean, this is a guy who can, he's one of the most flashiest, athletic point guards in the league, and I didn't see any of that, and it was just a rough season for him, big time.
It was weird, man. Like, I think like that back injury really got to him. And like, he like when your back's killing you, like you can't.
Back injuries are rough.
You can't do anything, and like he's a small, like he's not like I'm not saying short, he's like 6'2", 6'3", but like like that's good point guard height. But he he needs that bounce and needs that athleticism to do what he does. He's not a true shooter. The shooting, whatever Keith Smith ever did, Jesus, that was. Please.
He's smart, yeah. That's
Keith Smart. That's right. Yeah. My God, that was horrendous. So like, his jump, and that was the thing. Like, he needed a jump shot in order to take it to another level this year. Couldn't do it.
But at least with that athletic ability, could have make up for the lack of shooting. But that wasn't there. So if you don't have either, or you're doomed to fail.
Yep. And the thing is, like, I think towards the end of the season, like we started to see something something started to click before he got hurt again. Because he got that. I think he got a concussion again before the season ended, and so
it was just a rough season for him.
Tough, man. And then, like, I guess another dude, like guys who could just leave. Like, we don't need Wayne Ellington.
No.
Like, don't need him. Alfred Payton, I'm just kind of like, I'm on the fence because like I don't know who we're gonna get at point. Like, I don't know like how the draft's gonna go.
That's a big thing too. I mean, so it all depends on the draft. It all depends on the draft.
So I can't get rid of Alfred Payton. Bobby Portis is like another one. We need a stretch big. We don't know who, like
exactly.
Don't know who, but it's like I would love to see Taj back actually though. Like just because like
a good vet,
I like him as like a good vet presence.
We could use a vet for Mitch too, because it seemed like when we had DeAndre Jordan here for the little time, that did wonders for Mitchell Robinson, having him there and that veteran presence to teach him how to be a big man, because they're kind of similar, athletic, the length. So to have a guy like that, if we could find a player like that available that can teach him how to use his length and learn how to play defense, because he's tremendous and we see the blocks and all that, but he, like you said, he'll have 2 fouls in the first 4 minutes, and then you have to learn how to use that length. So someone that could help teach him, because it felt like with DeAndre was there, that was a big reason why he started emerging that into that rookie year.
Yep. And so like that's why I think like with Taj, like you can see that Taj was actually doing something with him. Like later on, like once January, February, and March came around, like Mitch himself tweeted out like he had to be better, and then I think. Like even Taj like was talking about how Mitch was like starting to learn, like he's just staying in their ear and just like, guiding him and just like saying how to be like professional, how to like look at things. And he started doing well coming off the bench, just like having Taj starting and just like, I guess like it was kind of like he was a role model to see like, okay, so this is how Taj is playing. So this is, I guess, how I should be playing too, to a certain extent. But, obviously he has more athletic ability than Taj, and he's just taller and lankier and is able to cover more ground. So I think for him, like just seeing someone out there at this time, and that's why I think we need like another, like that's why I would like Taj back though, like as a good vet, because I think he's also not just good with Mitch, but I think he's good with like guys like Dot, Frank, RJ. I think those guys listen to Taj, exactly, and that's what we need. So
we need vets. I think people forget. I mean, we all want to play the young guys, but in this league, veterans still win championships. So you're going to need that veteran presence to help those young guys take that next level for us to be a competitive ball club.
For sure. And I guess other guys, like, I don't know, like, it's so hard, like, with all these other guys. Like, besides, like, Ellington, I could strictly say, like, he can go. Like, because, like, we don't need him. Like
Mo Harkless can go. Like,
Mo Harkless, like, he came in. He even took Knox's minutes, and I was kind of like ill inferior with that. But like Mo has like his moments, but I don't think
solid,
Mo's. I don't think he's going to fit on this team like what we want to do long term.
No, not at all.
Like he would just be like another one year guy, and it's like, do we need him for 1 year? Like you get 1 year guys because like you're getting ready to like really compete, or like you actually have no idea the direction you should take for this team. And so if we're doing another 1 year with Mo, I'm like, so we really have no direction what we're doing with this team, right? Like we really have no idea what we're doing with him.
I can't go through that again, man. We can't go through that again.
No, like that's why we got all these guys on 1 year deals, because it's like it was like you know, we didn't lock up like the cap, so now like we're not. Like,
that's the only smart thing to do is at least they didn't lock up the cap and sign guys to a bunch of 4-year deals for $70 million, and then we would have really been screwed.
Yeah, because remember, like even like people were starting to like ask for Melo to get out of here after his like max contract. People were ready for Amari to go because he was just taking up money. Like Hardaway was another one where people were just like, get this guy out of here.
That was like bad. That was a bad contract. That was awful.
Yeah. Awful. So like that's like the good thing, but at the same time, like there's nothing wrong with like a long-term contract that's actually reasonable for their talent. Like if we gave like what we gave Julius Randle, like 2-year guaranteed with a third team option. Like that's smart. Reasonable. That's smart. Yeah. But like we're not what we're paying him to is like, okay, cool, like fine, like we thought you were going to be that guy, you weren't, but that's actually reasonable because like after the second year, like we're giving you a lot up front to try to be that guy and prove yourself, and we'll keep you if you can. But it's like no. Instead, we gave Tim Hardaway just like 4 years, you know, like
so. And then the Hawks were like, we're gonna only give him 45. Okay, you're gonna get him how much? 25 minutes. Okay, bye.
Yeah,
it's like we outbidded ourselves for no reason.
For no reason. So like, I guess like when it comes back to like how we structure contracts, like that's what we don't need. We don't need any more like 1 year. Like just strictly like 1 year. Like I know most of these were like 1 year team options, but even still like 1 year team options, like that's not really like confident. Like you actually have like a plan or a direction. Yeah, it's just kind of like it's a stopgap. And we don't need another. It's like
patching up a tire. Like you know you got to fix it, but you're just patching things up and just trying to figure out, all right, how do we get to the next destination? We really need a plan. This team needs a plan. So on that note, we hired Leon Rose to take over basketball operations, and it feels like he's put himself. You know, obviously this is his first time being an executive. He's been an agent before, and he's done a tremendous job there. But it seems like he's hiring a lot of people around him that know the game of basketball, and that's one thing. If you're new at a job, having people around you that can help the job be easier for you and have tremendous basketball minds around is definitely going to make the job easier. So just how do you feel about Leon Rose coming aboard and all the hires he's made of late?
So I was skeptical when he was hired, but seeing all the hires and he's treating himself as not like the most like the smartest person in the room, like he knows everything, and just surrounding himself with just like well-seasoned guys who are respected in every role, and just like going on beyond just like the scouting and like bringing out like analytics nerds like Brock Aller. And
smart guys, man.
Smart guys, and bring on Perrin, bring on Klein, bring on all these dudes who can just like were well respected. Like every single hire, like someone's like, "Oh, this is a great hire,"
and you hear, and it's universal.
This is so.
Yeah, and that's rare for the Knicks. They usually don't do that.
Like unfamiliar territory.
Well-respected names.
And like the thing is, like I've never seen a front office like knowing about so many front office hires and like just being organized in this way. Like I guess, like I've never like I don't remember any time in Knicks history where we're talking about the guys who are going to be in the front office and who's doing what. This is totally new territory for me. But you know, I'm very optimistic with how he's been handling it. It's good to see someone who's doing their due diligence and like in that aspect and like hiring guys like. To bring in Perrin, who's like I think it was 19 years with like the Jazz, something along those lines, and it's like he's bringing in Klein, a young up and coming scout,
and he's only like 26 years old.
26 years old,
and like people are raving like he's like the next like big time executive down the line. Like he knows his stuff.
I mean, the dude started like his own basketball tournament in high school with like Donovan Mitchell and Karl Anthony Towns showing up, which is just phenomenal of itself.
Yeah, I mean, he's a brilliant individual.
And then you got Brock Aller, who's a cap specialist. I think like with all these guys, it's just like showing that we actually have some competence right now in the front office, like trying to figure things out and how we're gonna like be creative to like play not only like the off season this year, but just moving forward and just setting ourselves up as an organization to be successful moving forward. And
Exactly.
you know, I have nothing like against like going against the grain, like, oh, we didn't get a guy who's been like a general manager or president of basketball operations before. It's, you know, that doesn't really bother me. What shows like with Leon Rose is that he's willing to take on this challenge and think like, okay, what do I need? And I think even when he came, like when he wanted to evaluate the players, say, okay, I wanted to see these players. When he kept Scott Perry, it's saying like, look, I value Scott's opinion. I'm not ready to move on from him yet. And like, that's why when he said like, I'm going to keep Scott Perry, I was like, oh, that's a smart move. Like during a pandemic, you can't really do an outside hire right now. Draft, like this guy's already been drafted, like preparing for the draft, like all year round, probably doing some research. And what does he do? He brings in other guys who've also been doing their own research. And it's like, oh, so you're just bringing good minds together and figure it out. It's not just relying on one person, you know.
It's definitely a different way that they've done it in the past. It feels like I've never heard of them. You don't really hear about like you'll hear about the GM and you know and that's pretty much it, and the VP, but you don't hear about this team just got a new scout, they got a new capologist. You don't really hear that. And you know, with the Knicks, they're hiring these guys and they're well respected. And they're universally liked by a lot. And you're hearing big-time other players saying, oh, that's a great hire by the Knicks and all that. So it feels different. It definitely feels different. And it feels like Leon's, like you said, he's surrounding himself with smart people. Like being a rookie at this job himself, he's just putting around smart people. And it gives us a little bit optimism about the future. Gives them some hope, you know, because we're so beaten and we've been so beaten and it's kicked to the curb, and it gives us some type of hope to be like, okay, this feels like it's gonna be right. This is the right move, and we're gonna head to the right in the right direction. You know, we could be wrong. Hey man, we could be sitting here in 2 years and talking about, oh, well, who's going to be the coach, who's going to be the next GM, and who's you know, and right back we're in square one. But this feels different.
It does feel different. And I think the one thing that like I didn't mention was Worldwide West, right? We got him in the building.
Yeah, Worldwide West too, yeah.
And so like for him to even take on an official role and like just that much, like have someone with like that much influence who's like, oh yeah, let me just come to the Knicks. It's just kind of like one, I'm just questioning myself, like why? Yeah. But like one, I know why. Like this is like the biggest, like next to LA, like this is the next biggest market, like that you'd want to probably be in, right? But it's like, I don't know, just like hearing like all these guys, and especially with like all these guys who have like so much pull and like have worked with like such great like talents, like whether it's LeBron James, like
literally, you think of like, the top talent in the league, and they, you know, Leon Rose and Worldwide West have had them at one point. So it's good to have those connections. Hopefully, they can come to fruition for once, you know, for us.
For sure. And like to add on to that, it's like, you know, that's another thing I guess I'll trust with like Leon Rose. It's like you see him like when he works at CAA, right? And like you see all these guys that he's had, and it's like you don't get these guys as like, you know, your clients unless you have some sort of like solid reputation that you do thorough good work. You're good with relationships. You're good at just like networking and doing everything that is needed, like from a business perspective. And like, you know, business, like the job itself may not be like transferable everywhere you go, but business itself, like if you have an understanding of like how to do business, I think that's what Leon Rose does understand, is like how to do business. That's transferable. And he understands players. And so like, and you know, I guess the other thing is like, you could question like, well, he's only been on the agent side. How would he know the operation side? It's like, well, you can actually use that other side to understand like, hey, I know what they're looking for. Exactly. So let's bring that here. And so that's why like I trust the hire, and like seeing everything he's done, it's just making me like optimistic. So yeah.
Like you said, man, it definitely feels right. It definitely feels right. So hopefully everything, you know, everything works. But let's talk about the coaching situation. Obviously, and that's been a hot topic of late. everyone has their pick of the who they think should be the coach, and that's kind of we've seen on Twitter how big that's gotten of late. But obviously, they're doing their due diligence. They're interviewing a bunch of people, which they should. They should take their time. There should be no rush to hire a coach because the season's not going to start till December. So you literally have 5 months so just interview 1 million people and figure this thing out. Like you can interview every single person in the league if you can.
Yeah.
But obviously, we know the top names. We've heard Jason Kidd, we've heard Kenny Atkinson, and obviously Tom Thibodeau, as we've heard, is the leading guy at the moment. How true that is, we don't really know, but that's what we've been hearing. He is the top guy. So just give me your thoughts on the coaching search and, Tom Thibodeau and who you think should be the next Knicks head coach.
Okay, so I think the Knicks are going about it the right way, but it's not the first time, like as we already talked about, that this is the first time they're doing due diligence with a coach. I think they actually do have their favorite. I think Leon is it's either they do have their favorite or they're truly just trying to figure this thing out and have no clear favorite. Mm-hmm. But we don't know. Leon Rose is playing this very well. He has a good poker face.
Yeah.
Good poker game.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I can't even get a read on what the hell is going on.
No.
And before, even with Mills, you kind of get a read, just oh, we're gonna do something stupid. It's coming. Even with Phil Jackson, you're oh, we're about to do something stupid.
Oh, we're gonna do something really bad. Yep.
Oh,
you're
it's
absolutely
coming.
Right. You're absolutely right.
But this one, I think that's even more scary. Is that I can't predict they're gonna do something stupid.
Yeah. We're so used to it. That's the problem, and that's the unfortunate is that we're so used to everything being bad. So we're trying to just force ourselves to believe something good's gonna happen, But let's hope. But
let's hope, man. But I think in my opinion, it's going well for the Knicks so far. I think the true candidates that they're probably looking at is between who we've heard so far is Tom Thibodeau, Kenny Atkinson, Jason Kidd. I think those are the top three that they're really looking doing their in-depth research for, because all three of them bring something very different to the table, unlike the assistant head coaches Udoka. I think he could.
And I like him too, man. He was with Pop for a long time.
Yep.
So
with Pop. Spurs tree with the Sixers doing a good job as the defensive specialist, right? And has the Sixers playing really good defense.
Yeah.
But even with an assistant coach, I feel that would be the ultimate out of left field, just not seeing that one come if they hired, because we're going back to kind of the Fizz way, where it's Fizz was unproven. He had 1.5
years in Memphis,
in Memphis, and it's we'd be doing that with Udoka, and I don't know if we're ready for another experiment. It'd be one thing if we had a seasoned guy and we're ready to transition with Kerr, right? Kerr was Kerr was never had a head coaching role, but it's okay, we can give this to Kerr, and you left from a good head coach in Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr, right?
Toronto too. Toronto went to Toronto. Going to Nick Nurse.
Yeah, you leave Dwayne Casey, one coach of the year, and then you go to Nick Nurse. Those are risks where
that's how you're absolutely right. That's a better transition, yeah.
That because you already for them they already made it through their
established
process.
Players, yeah, they got established,
And now the next part is you then get that coach who's going to continue that development process, and that's
exactly,
and so. That's where you say well, do you want a guy like Kenny? Because Kenny would probably come in and he would not be here after 3-4 years. Kenny is
he's a developmental coach.
He's a developmental coach. You know what you're going to get. Is he going to be that same voice that's going to take you to the championship? Probably not. Because as we see most of these coaches there is a shelf life for guys and how long those voices carry, as Larry Bird said. And so I don't see Kenny being here. I think when you get Kenny, then you're really looking to transition to someone else after him. Yeah. And that can be fine. With Kidd, I don't necessarily think it's the coaching. I think it's more of the Giannis connection that they're really trying to bank on, which that would really shock me. That would really shock me if you hired Kidd and you really think that he's going to be the guy to bring in Giannis. I don't know
didn't
any
they do that
coach.
with Fizdale? He had connections, and then we saw how that went.
Yeah, and that's why
do that again. It just doesn't make sense.
And his Kidd's coaching. that's just like poor defense, very aggressive, left a lot of threes, open threes. Like, I don't really give
It
him like that much
doesn't.
credit for like making
Giannis.
Giannis like,
Yeah, Giannis is
because
going to be great no
he
matter
was
who the
he was going to
coach
be
is. Yeah.
great. And on top of that,
And Budenholzer is really a tremendous, like an elite, like one of the
yeah.
best coaches in the league too. I wish the Knicks would have picked him up, but
Oh my God, I wish we
yeah,
can get that
man.
chance over. But there's this guy I follow on Twitter named Tristan Thompson, who's he's a radio announcer out for Milwaukee sports, and he was talking about the kid experience. And he even said with like Giannis becoming great, it was like Giannis was going to become great. Like people saw it,
Yeah.
and like kid didn't even want to put the ball in Giannis's hands the way it is now.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just kind of like out of last resort that it happened. And so I don't necessarily think Kid is going to be like this forward-thinking, like great coach that some people may think. And I think it's really just like he does great in interviews. He made it to Brooklyn after retiring from the Knicks. Got somehow traded to Milwaukee, and then got this coaching gig as assistant with the Lakers. I think he's just very good at interviews. I don't know how good he is as a coach.
Yeah, I think because he's Jason Kidd, everyone assumes that he was a tremendous point guard, one of the best passers of all time, or the best point guards of all, and they think that just that he could transition easily. And he had his struggles in Brooklyn, and then he had his struggles in Milwaukee. I'm that's one hire. I'm like, listen, there's so much more than just the coach that goes involved, with building a team. You have the personnel and all that, but I'm really not crazy about Jason Kidd being the coach.
Not at all. But then there's like Tom Thibodeau, who I think like is the actual front runner for this job. I think with all the connections, with all these like between Wes and Leon Rose, and his experience, like he's already established. Like I think this is the chance where it's like if we're gonna choose two coaches, and I think it's either between Kenny or Tibbs. Like I think those are the two choices. Like those are who I personally would want to. I think there's two directions the Knicks can either go. You either bring in an established dude like Tibbs, and then we're not gonna see like a slow development process as maybe fans want, like a small market team. But with Leon Rose and Wes and Brock Aller, I see something creative where they're going to keep some of the young guys and get some vets, whether it's trading and through free agency, and we're going to create like not a win now team, but it's going to be a competitive team that we can actually like that people can stomach.
I think they got something cooking in the lab. It feels like, because like you said, there's no free agents this year.
Yeah.
There's Anthony Davis, and most likely he's going to re-sign. There's there's Christian Wood. There's a couple other guys, but no one that's going to help, that's really a game changer, per se. Good players, but no one that's going to really take us to that, to a playoff team. So I think, we've heard the Chris Paul rumors, and that, I know people get kind of, scared because they worry about his age. They worry about the injuries, his injury history. But man, seeing him this year, when he got traded to OKC, I think a lot of people were like, oh, he's probably going to get bought out or he's going to get traded right away because he's not going to want to stay there because they're not going to win. And he stood there and they're winning.
Yeah.
I mean, they're winning, and it's like he's taking that team to – I mean, Gallinari has played almost at an all-star type level.
Yeah.
They got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's an emerging star in this league. He played Adams, and he just took that team. Like I thought they were all top 3 team in the lottery. I thought they were just that type of team. And I think a lot of people thought that, and he took them to another level, and he stood healthy too. So is that something the Knicks could do to get this going? With still have your couple young guys, but get this thing rolling a little bit faster, because obviously, like I said, there's no free this year, and it's you have to go through another bad season. And do you want that? And so is that something that they can do? And I know there's other guys. There's other guys that might want out. Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. There's other names, but obviously the CP3 thing has been something that could probably most realistic thing that could possibly happen.
I think that is like the real thing that's going to happen. I think what they're going to do is they're probably going to hire Tibbs. And then you bring in like a legit veteran presence with Chris Paul. And like the only way you bring in Chris Paul, obviously, like we have to do a trade, but I don't think we don't have to trade like draft picks. Actually, if anything, because of like
this
coronavirus and based on like his contract and based on how the cap is going to
taking
probably
on
drop.
a lot of,
we're going to be like OKC is always ready to like, oh, you're going to take our money. Fine, because we don't want to go over the luxury at all. And like that's actually the one thing I'll give Dolan is that he's willing to go over the luxury.
Yeah, he don't care about that.
He does not. He's got money to spend, and so I think we're actually probably going to trade for Chris Paul. I don't see us trading that much, and I think what Begley said is that we'll probably have to give up like Reggie Bullock, and then who else? It would be like Reggie Bullock. I forget. It was like Reggie Bullock and either Frank or Knox. That he wrote, and I can see. And
I mean, to get Chris Paul, that's a nice package to they want that.
And I think with like if you get Chris Paul, right? Like I can't remember if that was. I think that was what Begley wrote. I think it was just those two guys. And like if we get Chris Paul, right? The thing that like I actually am kind of like the more like when I first heard, I was like, that's a lot of money. Do we want a lot of money? But then the more I thought about it, I was like, who are we getting in 2021?
Exactly. I said the same thing to myself, like,
but who are we getting?
But it's like, who are we going to get? Like,
who are we get? We're not going to get Giannis. We're like, well, we're not going to be we're not even going to be competitive that year. Like, unless like if you want, you can't have the rebuild and then expect us to be competitive next season. Exactly. That's not going to happen. So if we're doing a complete rebuild, or like if we're going to do something like close to just like having something competent with a rebuild, which is just skipping like a couple steps to get there, and that's getting Chris Paul, then okay, fine. What's bringing Chris Paul? I think at that point, then you probably also bring back Melo. Then if that's going to happen, personally, I think that would probably happen too. And you bring in those two guys as just kind of like veteran presence. Although Melo's a little bit more questionable because I don't know what he would want in a role with New York because he was the guy here, like unless
and he's shown that he still wants to be starter playing big time because even in Portland now he wants to ball and they got Dame there, but I've seen him take the last shot for Portland a lot. He probably he still thinks he's that dude, and he's shown he still can play at a high level, but he's not when he was in the beginning of the Knicks and Denver Melo. So that would be interesting to see how it affects. I wouldn't be mind if they brought back Marcus Morris. I mean,
I would like to have him
great, back. And that's a veteran presence who he wanted to stay here. He didn't want to go to the Clippers per se. Especially when you're getting all the shots. Why would you want to leave that? So I mean, and he played well for us. I mean, like we said in the beginning, he played surprisingly well. And hit some big shots for us. So that's someone that I wouldn't mind them bringing it back either.
Neither would I. And so I think I really think it's probably gonna be Tiz that we're gonna get. And I think like Chris Paul, I think that's what we're getting ready for. I think that's why you're bringing Brock Howard to see like how we could finagle the cap and get players, someone like Chris Paul to bring over here to be that vet. And the thing I look at with Chris Paul is not only do you get the vet, but you also get the guy who's the president of the Players Association, right? And if you really want to change like the image of like how the Knicks look, bring the dude who's the president of the Players Association, treat him like a king while he's here. And then next thing you know, you have guys talking about like, hey, Knicks aren't so bad. They treat you pretty well. They take care of you, all these things.
And his voice travels. So
goes very
if he's
far.
Talking good things about the Knicks, then that person tells that person, yo, man, the Knicks are, it's different over there, man.
Yeah.
You should think about. And word of mouth goes, and then, that's how you change the culture. And I think, like I said, at first you worry about the cap and injuries, but it's like, man, who are we going to get? We just missed out in the biggest free agent market. We didn't get no one. There's no one this year. Giannis, that's not going to happen. So why not take a chance on this and just get this, get this rebuild going a little faster and, help him. Maybe he can help RJ take this game to the next level. Kevin Knox, maybe get him more better shots, have more open space. Pick and roll with Mitchell Robinson could be, even with Julius Randle, maybe put him in better positions. I think it's a smart move to make. And then, like I said, it won't cost you as much as people. I mean, you hear people say, "Oh, we got to give away first round picks." It's like, I don't think it's going to cost as much. Like you said before, if it's costing you a couple role players and maybe a second round pick or even the second first round pick, that's kind of what's worth it.
That's worth it to get Chris Paul, man.
It's worth it to get Chris Paul. So I think that's a move that I like I said before. I think they're thinking of they're cooking something in the lab. Like I really believe they're figuring out. Okay, we just can't go into the season as status quo. We can't stay and get a couple one-year guys and then run this back and just be in the same spot and just be crappy again. Unless RJ takes his game to a completely next level like Luka and Trae Young, and he's playing at a averaging 28 a game, and his game's at another level. Then that changes everything. But we don't know if RJ is going to take that next level, so you can't go into that thinking that. So why not get Chris Paul and let's get this thing going. So I really think that they're working on something. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go about it.
And think that's like, what if you're able to get a team I don't have all the numbers down, like if it would all actually work out, but you get Chris Paul, right? Maybe you sign a Joe Harris. You have RJ. You slide him down to the 3. You have Mitch starting at the 5. Maybe you bring back Mook and have him at the 4. Your bench guys are Frank. If Frank is not dealt, or Knox, if he's not dealt, you keep Damian Dotson coming off the bench, and then you fill out the rest of the roster that way, and you actually have that's a legitimate starting 5 that I can actually live with. If you told me we're rolling out CP3, Joe Harris, RJ, Mitch, and either Mook or Julius Randle to start off with. Julius can't start with Mitch, but if you said we brought back Mook and have him start at the 4, I'd be like, that's a team.
I mean, that's a playoff team. I think
that's a team I'd watch.
That's a team. You definitely feel okay. We could, you feel confident about every game. Okay, we're putting the best team forward to win every game, and you feel a lot of optimism going into and you could be possibly a playoff team, especially in the East, man. The bottom of the East, you can win 38 games and be a playoff team. So and definitely think that they're doing something in the lab. So hopefully with our Knicks, we can we see better days, because I said we've been beaten down, we've been just lied to, cheated. It feels like a bad relationship, where everything you get cheated on, it's been one of those relationships with the Knicks, but we stay in it.
Somehow we're loyal. I don't know how it happens.
We are because it's crazy. We've obviously been a bad franchise, but when people talk bad about us, there's no more loyal fan base to Knicks, because when the media trash, when Max Kellerman's annoying ass goes on ESPN and trashes the Knicks and stops being a Knicks fan and becomes a Lakers fan, and everyone who trashes the Knicks, we always come to defend them no matter what.
That's a clown move. You can't. I don't even know how you can say that on national TV. You can't I'm leaving the Knicks to be a Lakers fan. That's just if you're gonna leave, can you at least choose a respectable up and coming team? Can you at least say I don't know,
front runner move?
Can you say you could? I would actually appreciate if you said the Pelicans. I'm gonna root for the Pelicans back.
Or Memphis
or something else. But it's okay.
Yeah, the Lakers. Because they have LeBron James. Come on now, you stick with your team, man. Come on, if you're a real fan, and he's from New York, that's even worse. Just jumping. But Max is a clown. That's we all know that. But man, before I let you go, I want to shoot you some quick questions and some rapid fire questions before I let you go. So, sure. Who's your favorite Knick of all time?
Favorite Knick of all time? Patrick Ewing.
Patrick Ewing. Yeah. I mean, that's my guy. I mean, he's I wish they would have gave him more. I wish we would have gave him more. You ever look at those teams and oh my God, that was his second best player. John Stark. No offense to John Starks, we love him, but that was his second best player.
Yeah, for a very long time.
And
I was a kid when I started watching, but it was funny. Patrick, so I'm half Jamaican, and Patrick Ewing, being Jamaican, I was like, oh, Patrick Ewing. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then it's my parents always thought so I started playing basketball when I was in 3rd grade, and everyone was like, oh, you're growing pretty quick. You're probably gonna be a big man. And I was like, oh, okay, Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
Nope. So it didn't happen. But that's why Pat's my guy.
Yeah, he's that's definitely my guy too. I love Patrick Ewing. What's your favorite Knicks moment?
Ooh. Damn. Oh,
Let's
man.
eliminate the last 7 years. Let's eliminate the last 7 years. Not much good the last 7 years.
Give me that mellow turnaround against the Bulls.
Oh, okay. And that Christmas game?
Was it the Christmas game where he just like he does a spin move and he just like knocks it from the corner
No,
shot?
that wasn't a Christmas game. No, that was a different game then. But the Christmas game is what I keep thinking about. That was a cool moment too. But yeah, Mel. That's another guy.
I love Melo too.
We
did him dirty, man.
Yeah. It's we should have waited and just got him as a free agent and just
we should have. Like he also kind of did it to himself, like forced a trade. But like it was another situation where like we should have
And Donnie Walsh wanted that. He wanted to let's wait. We'll have all our pieces and we'll add Melo to that. That's dangerous. That should have been a dangerous team because obviously Amari was going through the injuries and that could have helped. It wouldn't have been as bad to it would have been as tough to deal with Amari. At least we have Gallinari and all these guys, Wilson Chandler. That would have been easier to deal with the Amari injury. With his body breaking down, but
it's another one, man.
Yeah. That's tough. What's your all-time Knicks lineup?
All-time Knicks lineup. It'd have to be Clyde. 2 would probably be Earl the Pearl. Give me Melo. Give me Reed, and then give me Pat.
That's solid. That's solid. I love Allen Houston, so he'd be my 2.
Allen Houston's
I love
up there.
his shot. He has the most perfect jump shot ever.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with his jump shot, so that would be my guy. And last, what do you want them to do this offseason now to make you feel great? What'll make you feel optimistic about the next coming years for the Knicks this offseason?
Give me the lineup I just mentioned.
Man, obviously, we can't do that.
Give me CP3, give me Joe Harris, give me RJ, give me Mook, and give me Mitch. Or something like 4 is questionable, but at least give me those other 4 guys. And I'm just like, you got me. You got me you got me for hope.
Yeah.
And anything but Jason Kidd.
Agreed, man. I mean, I'm on board you with that. Just hope. Just give us hope.
That's all I need.
Give us hope. Like you said, like I've said before, we've been beaten down. We've been lied to. We just want hope. We just want to know that, we're going into something solid and we optimism. That's what we want. We want optimism. That's all we want as Knicks fans. We were tired of all the Nets fans coming at us and the NBA making fun of us. It's enough. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of defending us with those. I'm tired of being made fun of. Enough is enough. We're being bullied, and we shouldn't be bullied. We're the number 1 grossing franchise in the NBA. We should not be this bad. So,
oh my God, it's disgusting. And
disgusting, man.
And to have Nets fans just like, oh, we're gonna be so great. I'm just like, okay, calm your roll. Stop it.
Yeah.
Just relax.
Relax, guys. You have your 15 minutes. You'll have your 15 minutes. It'll be done soon.
Yeah.
Kyrie's gonna get upset. No, it's so. But no, they got those guys. That's fine. But Alex, man, I appreciate you coming on. This is a fun conversation we had today, and like I said, I appreciate you coming on the show. This was definitely a blast.
Right back at you, Chris. Thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun talking to you and talking Knicks. Can't get enough Knicks, man.
You can't, man. It's crazy because people are like, why do you keep talking about the Knicks? It's like, that's my team, man. I love my team. No matter what, we could lose 65 games. We could lose 8. You go 0-8 too. That's still my squad. No matter what.
We come back again stronger than ever next year.
we come back and we say we just come back more fiery and this is our team and we got to rock with our team no matter what. We can't pull on Max Kellermans and jump off the bandwagon because eventually things are going to be good. Every team goes through their cycles. I mean, the Clippers were once time nobody wanted to be a Clipper. Now everybody wants to be a Clipper. And hopefully one day we'll be in that same boat where everybody wants to be a Knick again and we're back and we're the toast of the town. And because we all know when the Garden the Garden rocks no matter what.
Oh, man.
Just imagine when you put a competitive team on the court.
It's over.
That arena is unlike – and I had someone say that the Garden was overrated, and you know they went there, and I was like, nah, man, you I don't know where you were. You must have been in the bathroom the whole time, because, man, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. There's, even when they play like the Hornets or a team of that's another bad team, I mean that place is rocking. So
Oh my
just
God.
imagine if we get a competitive team, how crazy the Garden is. I mean, we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. But like I said, Alex, I appreciate you coming. Where can people find you on and find all your work?
You can find me on Twitter at Tratacaster101. You can find my work at Hoops Habbit. I have other things in the works right now, but that's where you can find me for right now.
Cool, cool. All right, Alex, man. Be safe. You know, that's number one. Please be safe. And continue success with everything you're doing. I'm rooting for you. You know, I'm a big fan of your stuff.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Like I said, once again, happy to have you on. And guys, make sure to go follow Alex. I'll pull all his stuff, all his social media, and all his work on the description below and in the show description. And make sure to follow Off the Ball Podcast, Off the Ball Pod on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Follow me there. Go to theofftheballpodcast.com. And go get your merchandise if you hit me up for some merch. And on that note, guys, please, Alex, again, be good, be safe, and take care, guys. Peace.